Good afternoon, I'm Carlos and welcome to Updates at Noon. The government respects the decision of the court to convict Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak of all 7 charges involving 42 million ringgit in SRC International Sendirian Berhad funds. Well, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin at the same time urged all parties to continue to place their trust in the country's legal and judicial system as an independent and neutral institution. In a statement released last night, the Premier emphasized that the Perikatan Nasional or PN government will always uphold the principle of the rule of law. And Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the government also respected Dato Sri Najib's right to appeal against the sentence imposed by the court. Thus, he called on everyone to give space to the legal process to ensure that justice can be upheld. Dato Sri Najib, 67, was yesterday found guilty of 7 charges involving criminal breach of trust, or CBT, money laundering and misuse of position involving 42 million ringgit in SRC International Sendirian Berhad funds. High Court Judge Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali made the decision after finding that the prosecution had succeeded in proving the case on all charges against Dato Sri Najib. The Pekan Member of Parliament was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for every 3 charges of CBT cases and every money laundering case, while 12 years imprisonment and a fine of 210 million ringgit or 5 years imprisonment in cases of abuse of position. However, Dato Sri Najib only had to serve 12 years in prison after Muhammad Nazlan ordered the prison sentence to run concurrently. Well, meanwhile, Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak, who was sentenced to 12 years jail and fined 210 million ringgit for his abuse of power, can still carry out his duties as Pekan Member of Parliament until the appeal process is completed. And according to the Dewan Rakyat Speaker, Dato Azhar Azizan Harun, the former Prime Minister could also attend the Dewan Rakyat session, which will run until 27th August. Well, he told Bernama that according to the provisions of the Federal Constitution, his status as a Member of Parliament has not changed until all the appeal process is completed. Article 48, subsection 1, subsection E of the Federal Constitution states that a Member of Parliament will be disqualified if he is sentenced to more than 1 year in prison or a fine of more than 2,000 ringgit and does not receive a pardon. Dato Sri Najib, 67, was found guilty of all 7 charges involving criminal breach of trust, CBT, money laundering and abuse of power involving 42 million ringgit in SRC International Sendirian Berhad funds. But the Pekan MP only needs to serve 12 years in prison after Muhammad Nazlan ordered that the prison sentence be carried out simultaneously. In the meantime, Dato Sri Najib hopes that his appeal in the Court of Appeal will be heard immediately to clear his name. Now, speaking to the press after his trial in Kuala Lumpur, the former Prime Minister said he will fight to clear his name at the appeal court.
Saya tentu tak puas hati dengan keputusan. Saya dah nyatakan tadi. Tapi dalam sistem kita, Mahkamah Tinggi ialah mahkamah yang pertama. Dan keputusan ini dibuat oleh seorang hakim saja. Kita ada benefit untuk muat rayuan di peringkat Mahkamah Rayuan, di mana di peringkat Mahkamah Rayuan ada 3 hakim. Mudah-mudahan di peringkat Mahkamah Rayuan nanti kita dapat menghujahkan poin-poin yang boleh diterima nanti. Definitely not the end of the world, because there's a process of appeal. And we hope that we would be successful there.
Dato Sri Najib's lawyer, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, said although would be a bigger challenge at the appeal stage, they still believe they have a strong case. Ad hoc Deputy Public Prosecutor Dato V. Sitambaram, on the other hand, said the prosecution was satisfied that justice was served in this case.
Is happy that the judge found the prosecution case proven beyond reasonable doubt, and all the witnesses who have testified have been found credible, and we are pleased that the justice has been served in this case.
Dato Sitambaram said he would also remain as the DPP on behalf of the Attorney General's chambers in Dato Sri Najib's appeal in the Court of Appeal, as well as until the case is completed at the Federal Court. The Ministry of Health, the MOH, has detected 2 more new clusters. That's the Sivaganga PUI, or Persons Under Investigation cluster in Kedah, and the Sato cluster in Sarawak. Now, detailing the Sivaganga PUI cluster, Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah in a statement said it involved a permanent resident who returned to Malaysia from India on 13th July. While he had earlier tested negative during a COVID-19 screening at the entrance of the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, the KLIA. He then underwent home supervision and observation, or HSO order, but was found to have violated the order, and action is being taken by authorities. A repeat screening found that the man to be positive for COVID-19, and he has been admitted to the Sultana Bahia Hospital in Kedah. Following that, Dr. Nur Hisham said active case detection was carried out with 28 close contacts screened thus far. Now, of the total, 5 tested positive for COVID-19, while the rest were negative. He explained that the index case was the owner of an eatery, and 4 of those who tested positive in the cluster were foreign workers, while 1 was a close family member of the index case. Meanwhile, Dr. Nur Hisham said the Sato cluster case was detected following a COVID-19 screening at a market in Sato Kuching. And as of yesterday, 229 traders had been screened, and of the total, 4 tested positive for COVID-19 and the rest negative. He added that all 4 were asymptomatic and admitted to the Sarawak General Hospital for treatment. Police have smashed 2 big drug trafficking syndicates, said to be among the largest thus far this year, with the arrest of 23 individuals, and seized various types of drugs worth about 25.6 million ringgit. Now, all the suspects were nabbed in 13 raids under 2 special operations dubbed Op Heron and Op Watercress, conducted in the Klang Valley, Johor and Pahang from 22nd to 24th July. The Bukit Aman Narcotics Crime Investigation Department NCID Director Dato Ramli Din said the suspects, aged from 25 and 57, were believed to have been actively smuggling drugs to Indonesia and Sabah for the past 5 months. Those nabbed comprised 17 local men, 4 local women, and 2 foreign women, namely from Vietnam and Thailand, including the masterminds. Dr. Ramli said 296.8 kilograms of drugs, including shabu of 68 kilograms, ecstasy pills weighing 228.6 kilograms, 208 amphetamine pills, and 750 milliliters of liquid methamphetamine seized in the raids. He added the seized drugs could supply over 1 million addicts at a time. Police also seized 15 vehicles, cash, jewelry, and watches worth over 2.3 million ringgit during the raids. All suspects were remanded for 4 days from the date of the arrests, and the cases were being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. Well, a fisherman with 4 children was sentenced to a total of 64 years jail and 8 strokes of the cane by the Sessions Court in Ipoh for 7 counts of confining and sexually abusing his wife, including committal unnatural sex and carnal intercourse against the order of nature and without her consent. Judge Norashima Khalid handed down the sentence on Himni Nur Hamid, 36, who pleaded guilty to all charges, including possession of pornographic VCDs. He was sentenced to 15 years jail and 2 strokes of the cane on each of the 4 counts involving unnatural sex, carnal intercourse against the order of nature and without her consent, as well as sexual connect by object, and a year's jail each for confining his wife and possession of 13 pieces of pornographic VCDs. However, the court ordered him to serve the jail sentences concurrently from yesterday, meaning he only has to serve 15 years in jail. All the offences were committed at a house at Kampung Padang Tembak, Lumut, last 16 and 17 April. Well, starting today, the traffic volume heading for the East Coast via the Kuala Lumpur-Karak Expressway, or KLK, and East Coast Expressway Phase 1, or LPT1, is expected to increase by more than 50% in conjunction with the Aidil Adha celebration. So as such, members of the public are advised to plan their trips by referring to the Travel Time Advisory, or TTA, issued on Twitter at LPT Traffic and East Coast Expressway Facebook page. Executive Director of ANI Berhad, Dato' Nik Fauzi Nik Hussein, says the concessionaire of KLK and LPT1 in a statement said the average daily traffic of 156,000 vehicles would escalate during the period as many would embark on interstate travel. All public facilities at rest and service areas, or R&Rs, and lay-bys along the highways would be open to road users complying with the Standard Operating Procedure, or SOP, to ensure social distancing would be adhered to. However, the statement added that facilities at R&R or lay-by areas will be closed temporarily when full to ensure social distancing is being practiced at all times. Hence, if such closures are made, users are advised to go to the next R&R or lay-by. He also advised users to ensure they have sufficient balance on their touch and go cards, as card reload services at the toll lanes would be closed. Coming up next, companies to invest 4.5 billion ringgit in CVIA, create 12,000 new jobs. Well, companies planning to invest 4.5 billion ringgit in the Chuping Valley Industrial Area, or CVIA, are expected to create about 12,000 job opportunities for the people of Perlis. Now, Perlis Menteri Besar Dato' Sri Azlan Man said the long-term investment could help restore the people's socio-economic position post-COVID-19.
Short-termnya, saya rasa adalah kalau sekiranya mereka set up dia punya facilities yang cepat, maka peluang-peluang pekerjaan ini akan dapat diwujudkan dengan cepat. Jadi kita nampak kesan yang baik itu kepada ekonomi kita, dan akhirnya mungkin dia akan menyelesaikan sebahagian besar daripada impak negatif COVID-19 itu.
He added such investments will have a positive impact on Perlis, including increasing the state's gross domestic product. Dato' Sri Azlan said it will also provide jobs to the locals, raising their per capita income as companies intensify their developmental efforts. The Menteri Besar said this after an investment commitment ceremony organized by the Northern Corridor Implementation Authority, NCIA, at CVIA's Integrated Business Centre yesterday. At the event, Dato' Sri Azlan witnessed the exchange of documents between the 5 companies and NCIA Chief Executive Dato' Sri Isaac John Jebasingam to recognize the investment commitments. The 5 companies are FGV Integrated Farming Holdings Sendirian Berhad, MRCB Global Solutions, Biotech Bird's Nest Sendirian Berhad, Dibuk Synergy Sendirian Berhad, and Empire Paradigma Sendirian Berhad. The film industry is expected to come around in 6 months with funds of the Plan Langkah Segera Ekonomi Industri Kreatif, or Pelaksana, after being badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Communications and Multimedia Minister Dato' Saifuddin Abdullah said the plan, prepared by the Malaysian National Film Development Corporation, FINAS, would focus on assisting and providing funds to industry players from July until December this year.
Filem seperti juga komponen-komponen lain dalam industri kreatif sangat terkesan akibat COVID-19, dan kerana itu untuk 6 bulan ini, yakni dari bulan Julai hingga bulan Disember, kita meminta supaya fokus diberi untuk memberi suntikan kepada industri masing-masing. Dalam hal ini, yang ini ialah industri filem, bagi kita menghidupkan kembali atau menyegarkan semula industri perfilman.
He said this to reporters after launching Pelaksana in Kuala Lumpur. He said all funds under the plan, including the Digital Content Fund, must be dispensed as soon as possible so that industry players could come out with as many products as possible to strengthen the economy. Well, 8 Malaysians who are residing in Saudi Arabia are among the 1,000 people allowed by the Saudi government to perform the Hajj pilgrimage this year. Minister at the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Dato' Sri Dr. Zulkifli Muhammad Al-Bakri, said the 8 individuals had applied directly to the Saudi Arabia government for the purpose.
Akan buat video conference dengan mereka dan saya akan cuba bertanya dengan mereka bagaimana persediaan dan akan titipkan sebahagian daripada nasihat kepada mereka insya-Allah. Iaitu direct daripada Saudi yang mereka pohong secara online dan mereka telah terpilih.
He said this to reporters after attending the Federal Territories Islamic Religious Department's or JAWI's post-COVID-19 Food Bank Musa'adah mission program in central Kuala Lumpur. At the event, Dato' Dr. Zulkifli handed over essential items such as rice, sugar, flour, biscuits and milk to 50 residents of the Sri Negeri Sembilan public housing who were affected by the Movement Control Order, the MCO. In the meantime, Dato' Dr. Zulkifli also expressed hope that everyone would adhere to the standard operating procedure of the Eid al-Adha sacrificial ritual this year to avoid unwanted incidents.
Kepercayaan kepada Tuhan,
kesetiaan kepada raja dan negara,
keluhuran perlembagaan,
kedaulatan undang-undang,
kesopanan dan kesusilaan.
Well, that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, government respects the decision of the court against Dato' Sri Najib Razak. Well, folks, before we go, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin is scheduled to make an important announcement on the moratorium extension and targeted approach assistance at 3 p.m. today. The announcement will be telecast live. Well, join us again for news at 10 that comes on this evening on the Berita RTM News channel on My Free Views channel 123. I'm Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching.